Breaking news, Retatrutide, Orforglipron, and Tirzepatide from the Eli Lilly investors meeting. The next round of GLP-1s coming up for you and what you need to know about it from today's investor call. Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have been on Mounjaro and Zepbound from Eli Lilly over the last 2.5 years, not at the same time because of the shortages, it's the variation, and I've lost over 110 pounds. I'm passionate about talking about GLP-1 medication, and this call today from Eli Lilly is fascinating. We're going to deep dive in first of talking about Retatrutide. There is slides that Eli Lilly provided, and so those are my sources. You guys know I am diligent about being factually accurate and you checking my sources, so I will link those down in the description link below. But the first one is Retatrutide. This has been the Godzilla of upcoming GLP-1 medication, and Retatrutide was included in this. Orforglipron, the pill that's going to be coming out if it gets FDA approved, that's in clinical trials, and then also updates on Tirzepatide as well. So it's a lot of meat today, but the Retatrutide, in terms of if you are like me and on the highest dose and you're like, I need a higher dose, Retatrutide, or you want it's bigger bang for our buck with GLP-1 medication, it's the triple agonist. So Tirzepatide is a dual agonist. This is triple, meaning the 3 hormone receptors. And so with it, here is all the different trials, the clinical trials that are going on. My biggest question of this was, when is it coming out? When will those trials be completed? And then we can use that information for when it would be submitted for the FDA to approve it. And then once FDA approved, then we could actually get this. So there's still steps to go through with Retatrutide on here, but it's fascinating how many different clinical trials there are that are happening right now. So let me just click over to this page so you guys can see. There's already, 5 on this slide, and then there's another, so there's 10, and then there's another 14. So there's 14 clinical trials right now for Retatrutide that I think are super interesting. One of note for Retatrutide is the kidney disease one. That's the 4th down on this slide, and I'll just read it to you because you probably, I don't know if you're able to read that or not, but it's basically saying for the kidney one, that's going to be coming out in December, the completion of it. That one looks like it's one of the soonest. We've got it's basically going to be for kidney disease. It's chronic kidney disease for Retatrutide. That to me was interesting. I don't know if you know that. So if you have somebody who has renal function in participants with overweight or obesity and chronic kidney disease with or without type 2 diabetes. And so it's 146 patients on there. That one's completion is November of 2025. That is very interesting. Of course, there's ones for obesity on here that are super, super fascinating with it as well. I find this fascinating. So your question is, okay, so when is Retatrutide coming out? You've probably heard of Retatrutide on the gray market, of where you mix peptides. I've done a whole video series on, 2 videos on it. I'm talking about the gray market with that. So the brand name from Eli Lilly, as you can see, is still in clinical trials. It has not been submitted for FDA approval, and it's not FDA approved for US folks. And I know we have European viewers tuning in too. And throughout worldwide. So with this, the biggest one also that I see that's furthest away is the study of Retatrutide in the maintenance of weight reduction of individuals with obesity. It's Triumph 6 is the clinical trial. So if you hear Triumph, that's with Retatrutide. That one is percentage change of baseline body weight. That won't be completed until April of 2028. So just knowing some, and then some of the other ones are compared Tirzepatide in adults who have obesity, that's Triumph 5. That one is going to be completed December 2026. So you see, we've got some time here with some of these of what's coming up. I think the biggest one that's going to be coming, here's another one that's going to be coming up too, is going to be in December 2025, and it's for knees. This one I also found fascinating. Let me zoom in so you guys can see that one too. It's on December 25th. It will be completed. A study of Retatrutide once weekly in participants who have obesity or overweight osteoarthritis of the knee. So they're testing GLP-1 medications for like folks who have knee osteoarthritis with the knee of the knee. I find that fascinating. That's fascinating to me. Bottom line, what you need to take away from that piece before we move on to the next one is for Retatrutide, there's time. There's time. The earliest completion is November 2025, and that's not for obesity, that's for kidney disease. And then the knee one is December 2025. So we are not looking in 2025 to get FDA approval. That is not happening this year. We're seeing the completion in May 2026. I know that's many of your questions. The Retatrutide study of participants with obesity or overweight is May 2026 for the completion. That's not even FDA submission for approval. And even if you get an urgent rush, so that's like the fifth month of 2026. So 2026, the latter end, potentially, is what, from my guess. Feel free, Clokey or any of my other fact checkers, to chime in the comments on that one too. But that was the main beef on that. Now, Eli Lilly stock shares fell this morning as I'm recording this on August 7th as a result of Orforglipron, which we're going to talk about. That is the pill format. That was one of the bigger ones. That did not do as well as they thought. Thus the stock shares falling. But first, breaking news also I want to share with you guys is there is a big sale going on. I want to make sure you guys check it out for all of my BIOptimizers lovers on BIOptimizers.com/queen. We're going to talk about Orforglipron and the Tirzepatide updated news for clinical trials. But first, there is a bundle sale going on BIOptimizers.com/queen. You can use my discount code QUEEN on my favorite 3 products they have. The first one is Magnesium Breakthrough, helps with Zepbound constipation for me, has helped with muscle recovery and sleep. This one is a game changer because it has 7 types of magnesium. In this bundle sale that they're having, it's also masszymes, their digestive enzymes, which help with bloating, protein absorption, ding, 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 if you're eating more protein. But the bloating and the absorption component for me are 2 ones that's why I take their digestive enzymes. And the third one is a probiotic. If you are looking for an excellent probiotic from a company that does a ton of testing, a ton of quality control testing with them too, I highly recommend BIOptimizers. And you can go to BIOptimizers.com/queen, QUEEN, use my discount code. My discount code, it's trending today. I'm not sure when the sale ends, but the bundle sale plus my code will stack together so you can have double savings. Woo! I always get very excited about double savings. So check that one out, particularly if you are on a GLP-1 medication, BIOptimizers Magnesium. That is my, I shout from the rooftops continuously and have taken BIOptimizers for a long time because it works really well. And you guys are always like, oh, you talk about it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I do, because it works really well. And then you try it and you're like, it does work really well. I'm like, I know, it does work really well. Okay, let's go over to our next study, which is going to be on Orforglipron. It's from the Attain-1. This is what sent stocks tumbling this morning. I'm saying tumbling. It dropped. It didn't tumble. It didn't tumble, but it definitely dropped. Let me switch over to that page so you guys can see the Attain-1. It's the top line results. That's the biggest part on here that I think you need to know for Orforglipron. It's still in clinical trials. With Attain-1 is the clinical trial. And with that, the results were not what people wanted. It's pill format of GLP-1, meaning there is no refrigeration with it. But how exciting is that? Like, if you think about the cost associated with refrigeration from transporting it in refrigerated trucks to get to the pharmacy and to get to all these different places, and then the pharmacies having for refrigeration, that cost comes down to our bottom line of our pocketbooks. That's why I'm heavily eyeing Orforglipron, is because of the costs, I think. And we'll see what Eli Lilly does. But SEMAGLUTIDE pill format from SEMAGLUTIDE from Novo Nordisk is also going to be coming out soon too. So these two are basically going head to head for pill format of GLP-1, but having more strength. There is a pill format right now, but it's a lesser strength. And I need to cite my source of what that name is, and it's not coming to the top of my head. So if you know, tell me in the comments below. It's a lesser one, but for the SEMAGLUTIDE pill and then Orforglipron. So basically what it was is, here's the results. For Orforglipron from Attain-1 clinical trials, being on the highest dose, which is 36 milligrams of the pill format, people lost 12.4% of the highest dose after 72 weeks, so more than a year. And you may say, Elizabeth, 72 weeks and only losing from the body weight 12.4%. Well, the Count did over a whole article over on countessofshopping.com of how much Zepbound people lost. You can go to countessofshopping.com, and I'll link the full hyperlink so you can see what the Count. He has a whole graphs on there and things like that. But basically, what it is you compare that 12.4% for orforglipron results after 72 weeks versus Zepbound after 72 weeks. Zepbound is superior. Zepbound folks lost 20.2% at 72 weeks on the highest dose. In a comparative study, WEGOVY lost 13.7% for 72 weeks. Is that, wait, hold on, 72 weeks. Yes, it was for, I want to make, sometimes these studies are like 52 weeks, and I'm like, 52 weeks is not 72 weeks. They're both, to compare apples to apples, they're both 72 weeks. Wegovy was 13.7% weight loss. Zepbound is 20.2%. And then orforglipron, 12.4%. However, that is pill format, it's not an injection. So that's interesting. That is part of it. Today, it was not the best stock day for Eli Lilly because of these results, partially. Approximately 60% of participants taking the highest dose of orforglipron achieved body weight reductions greater or equal than to 10%. Approximately 40% of participants taking the highest dose of orforglipron achieved body weight reductions of greater than 15%. Eli Lilly plans to submit orforglipron regulatory agencies at the end of the year. So that's going to be going to the FDA for approval at the end of the year. So we should see approval for that, should in quotes, in the beginning of 2026, in that ballpark-ish time. Q1 approximately, give or take. So that is interesting. There's also the next slide on that, which I think is also another important piece that we always talk about too, is, okay, how much blowout diarrhea did people have? No, I'm keeping you on your toes, making sure you're paying attention. No. It was the safety and tolerability, right? Like, that's always the balance with GLP-1 medication, is how well are people able to tolerate GLP-1 medications. And so the most common side effects for Zepbound is nausea. Let's see for orforglipron, highest dose, the most common side effects, nausea. 33.7% of people had nausea. Then after that, at the highest dose, 25.4% had constipation, then diarrhea at 23%, then vomiting at 24%. So the overall safety profile for orforglipron ATTAIN-1 was consistent with the established GLP-1 receptor agonist class, and treatment discontinuations were due to adverse effects were low and consistent with injectables of GLP-1. So this is great. This is great because we have seen other trials. There was one recently of where they had to stop. It was in good conscience. It was hurting people more than it was helping. Not for one of Eli Lilly's products. I'm forgetting the company of what pharmaceutical drug it was, but so we got to make sure that the safety and tolerability, people are having those tummy issues as a result. And so, by the way, the placebo people had 10% nausea, just to give some context of, like, I found that fascinating too. I was like, oh, interesting on that. Next in pipeline. So this is the other one that we want to talk about. And I want to also talk about Tirzepatide, the future of that, which is Zepbound and Mounjaro, because we're looking at our pocketbooks. And I'm looking at how much they made within their pocketbooks as well. Here is the pipeline of all Eli Lilly drugs that are coming out. Retatrutide, of course, is in the ones that we care about. Well, we care about all of them, but you know what I mean in terms of GLP-1s. Retatrutide is in phase 3. The Tirzepatide CV outcomes, I'm going to talk about that next. Tirzepatide type 1 diabetes is in clinical trial as phase 3. Orforglipron for hypertension, phase 3. There's another one for Tirzepatide and orforglipron for obesity. Retatrutide is in phase 3. So Retatrutide is in phase 3, but just keeping context on that. And then for regulatory review, Tirzepatide, which we're going to talk about, has for heart failure. You're going to see it's this almost last column. That's in regulatory review is right here. There's diabetes, but it is Tirzepatide basically. It's for heart failure. So that's exciting, giving us more insurance options, right? Having Tirzepatide FDA approved for heart failure, that is going to open up a ton of options with our insurance. My mouth, hopefully to God's ears, financially for us. Because I know, like, so many of us are seeing Zepbound, our insurance stop covering Zepbound, and they're making us switch over to Wegovy. So this is good news that we're seeing some of these other FDA approvals in the pipeline for other reasons. The other one I want to show you is key events that I found also fascinating, and then I will jump into the Tirzepatide information news component of it as well, is the key events for Orforglipron for hypertension. Let me pull that one up. There we go. Is Orforglipron for hypertension. It's in phase 3 initiations. That's exciting. And then we have Retatrutide for chronic low back pain and overweight, and chronic low back pain, and you have to be overweight or obese. That one is in phase 3 initiations. Tirzepatide for people who have type 1 diabetes is in phase 3 initiations. Phase 3 data disclosure is Orforglipron for obesity, the ATTAIN-1. Tirzepatide cardiovascular outcomes, that's from the SURPASS CVOT. And then the other regulatory submission, this is also fascinating for Tirzepatide for pediatric and adolescent type 2 diabetes. So we are seeing that for children, adolescents, and pediatrics for type 2 diabetes. So I found that part also very, very fascinating as well. I want to dive into the I want to dive into Tirzepatide, but first, you know, I got to share this part. I paid out of pocket at this point, gosh, like over 17 grand out of pocket for Zepbound and Mounjaro. I've also been on Tirzepatide compound because of the shortage. But so here's the money that Eli Lilly made. Total revenue. This is in millions of dollars, by the way. Like, it was a change of 38% for Q2 in 2025 for their income report. Like, their operating income has an 85% change. So just keeping it there of where their bottom line is and where their monies that they've made and how much money blows my mind. The other thing that was interesting too that I want to show you for Mounjaro. So let's kick it over to the Tirzepatide news. We know that they're making a ton of money. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. Let me pull up the Mounjaro information. I found this also fascinating too for my type 2 diabetes brothers and sisters. This was also fascinating as well in terms of the price point on that. I'm just clicking all these buttons and I'm trying to just lower my screen. Okay, scroll down, Eli Lilly, come on. Okay, here's the other one is sales for Q2. This is just the second quarter. So what is that? March, April, May. Yeah, March, April, May. Is that right? January, February, March. No, April, May, June. There were $3.3 billion for Mounjaro just in those 3 months. International sales were $1.9 billion. There's the graph. I found that fascinating too. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's just Mounjaro. That's not Zepbound, friends. That's just Mounjaro. Let's go check out our Zepbound. Our Zepbound sales in billions of dollars. So here's the Q2 Zepbound sales increased $2.1 billion. I'm a businesswoman, but this is where I'm like, holy gazolies. US sales were $3.4 billion for Zepbound. International sales were $1.5 million. You can see the graph here. That's nuts. Like, that's crazy. And then they have a bunch of other sales too, but that's just for the ones that stuck out to me most for our price point. Let me go over to the Tirzepatide. That depresses me. Let me get off that slide. I want to get off that slide. I want to talk about the Tirzepatide of what's coming with that down the pipeline. Because that's also interesting of, okay, what do we have in terms of other FDA approvals? Because this matters for our pocketbook. The more that we have FDA approvals for things, and the more it's going to make more competition in the marketplace. Same thing with Novo Nordisk. I'm an economist's daughter, so I'm looking at that bottom line of, okay, is this going to affect our pocketbook when we don't necessarily have a monopoly with just Tirzepatide and SEMAGLUTIDE, when we start adding in these other things as well. And the Count has an awesome article too, by the way, on countessofshopping.com comparing all of the clinical trials. I wonder if he finished that. Let me go look real fast because that new blog post, if you go to countessofshopping.com/blog, it has on there everything in the pipeline, even from like Amgen. Yeah, he does have it released. So that one compares all of these, which I think is really, really interesting. Let me go over to the blog post so you guys can see what the article looks like. It's the future pipeline. He worked so hard on this too. The Count really was like trying, he's been working on this for a while. But so he has in our countessofshopping.com It's all of the upcoming phases for all of the different drugs like Viking, Roche, Amgen, all of these. So of where they are on there, he wrote a really great article. So I gotta plug my husband there for a second. He did a great job on that on countessofshopping.com/blog. It's the first article on there too. Okay, so here is in terms of Tirzepatide of what is coming down the pipeline. This I think is fascinating. But you got to notice the dates for the completion, which is in the far right. You may not be able to read that, but I'll shout out some of the May 2026. So less than a year from now. What is that? 10 months is the study of Tirzepatide for maintenance of body weight reduction in participants who have obesity or overweight with weight-related comorbidities. So that will be interesting. They're trying to figure out the percentage of maintenance of body weight reduction achieved during a 60-week weight loss period. They have also the once weekly adolescent participants who have obesity with weight-related comorbidities. It's Surmount Adolescence. It's the second line item. That one has primary completion of May 2026, but like completion won't be till July 2029. So giving some context on that, I think is interesting as well. Another one on the second page for Tirzepatide of note that is coming out in 2026, January 2026, is about type 2 diabetes. It's the first line item. Doses of participants with type 2 diabetes and obesity. It's the change in their baseline of their body weight. January 2026, primary completion, full completion October 2026. And then also the kidney one. So we're going to be seeing that participants that are overweight or obese that have kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, with or without type 2 diabetes. So they can have type 2 diabetes or not. And it's the change in baseline in kidney oxygenation in participants with or without type 2 diabetes, September 2026. So, and then there's a bunch of other ones like a long-term study of people taking Tirzepatide. So those are some interesting ones too that are coming down the pipeline, which is important for us, right? Like, again, having these FDA regulation approvals, the data is interesting of what is this actually doing for our bodies longer term. For me, I was like, I will grow 5 heads 2.5 years ago. When I started, I'm like, I'll grow 5 heads to have this like, I'll take this information and I'll be a guinea pig, and it's worked out very well for me. But knowing some of the longer term data on this is interesting. Is very interesting. So these are some of the, and then there's also they have a bunch of other drugs coming out too for cardiometabolic health. Like there's a study for overweight, against overweight, obese, and healthy participants too, and for GLP-1 and co-agonist 3. So there's some other cool things in the pipeline as well that are related to like heart disease. So, and of course, click that like and subscribe button. As always, I'll be sharing all of these. Our emoji of the day today is going to be sunshine, because Eli Lilly's brought us a little sunshine of knowing that there's relief coming for other additional drugs and our pocketbooks and our health, most importantly with our health too. And seeing that these drugs are also safe, that the safety tolerability too, that's always of importance as well. And always something I'm looking for. I'm like, how many people have blowout diarrhea? How many people are nauseous? What's going on over there with their diarrhea, constipation, nausea, or vomiting? The most common ones. So our emoji of the day is sunshine. I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care. It helps me with the pattern recognition of seeing your name over and over. Also, it's my bat signal to pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I will uplift you in positive thought, as all are welcome at the Countess of Shopping table. Make sure you also go to my free encouragement group if you have not already, countessofshopping.com/group. It's an awesome group. It's free. It's not on Facebook, by the way. It's a private group. It's so fantastic. Literally, it's been awesome. Literally, yesterday's discussion, you guys were so on point, and it really, like, it brings me to tears almost every single day, and then it motivates me to go walk. I've already walked a mile today, which is awesome. Our emoji of the day, question of the day, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And finally, snag your bundle sale. The bundle sale from BIOptimizers. Take advantage of that price drop. I will link the hyperlink down in the description link below, but it's bioptimizers.com/queen. Take advantage of the bundle sale and then stack my additional savings code QUEEN, QUEEN, on top of that. My savings code on their website is 15% off. If you go to Amazon to purchase, I'll cite that. Some people just like to buy on Amazon. I'll link that below, but you're not going to get the bundle set savings. That's like extra price point. So my beautiful friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Let me know down below if I missed anything too, we're very well maybe have other pockets that I will do a part 2 follow-up on if I've missed anything. And then also, of course, fact checking me as well. I always want to make sure if there's a pocket that's not factually accurate, I will fix that in an upcoming video. My sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.